This session. I am Dr. Seetharampuram, professor in the EC department. So now I am going to give a detailed explanation and also introduction regarding the communication systems. So regarding this communication systems is concerned mainly how we are going to communicate the voice or picture or message, all these things, how this is going to be traveled, what is the thing, different things that is going to be happen when that will travel from one place to the another. So first of all, we'll discuss about the block diagram of this basic communication system. So in this, you may have the information source, and the input transducer and the transmitter, communication channel, receiver, output transducer, and after this output transducer, the output message, the original message you are going to get. That means total figure will have mainly three parts. So up to this transmission section, up to this transmitter, after that this signal will be after coming to the transmitter, the electrical signal that will be transmitted to the channel, communication channel. After that receives the receiver. Mainly there are three blocks. In this, what is going to be happen, the signal is concerned. So in this is the information source. So in this information source, the message in the form of whatever message you are transmitting, you are going to transmit, the message will be in the form of code, bit words, voice, speech or symbols, etc., etc. And also this, from this information source only we will get the messages. And the whatever information source contains that is not an electrical form, that is not in the electrical form, that may be in the form of code, bit words, voice, speech, etc., etc. But that has to be converted into the electrical form. That's why after this information source, input transducer you are going to connect. That function of the transducer is to convert one form of energy into another form. Here what it will do is, a message will be converted into electrical form. Here the transducer is concerned. Means this message form or the bit form will be converted into, message will be converted into this electrical form. Then only that signal is able to propagate at the transmitter using an antenna. So after that, for the transmitter, for efficient transmission, modulation is required. Very important point in this one is, the modulation is required for efficient transmission. This modulation is nothing but superimposition on high frequency carrier signal and superimposition of high frequency carrier signal in the baseband or modulating signal. That will superimpose. That is nothing but the carrier signal is going to be imposed on the modulating signal. So after that will be, and another definition for the modulation is nothing but it is the process in which one of the parameters of the high frequency sine wave signal is varied in accordance with the instantaneous value of the amplitude modulating signal. So here in this we may have two signals. One is the sinusoidal wave So this is the sinusoidal signal is the modulating signal which is of low frequency, and carrier signal of high frequency signal. So that's why the definition of modulation is concerned nothing but superimposed on high frequency signal, means this modulating signal is superimposed by this high frequency signal or the carrier signal. The definition of the modulation is that it is a process in which one of the characteristics of the carrier signal is varied in accordance with the instantaneous modulating signal. So one of the characteristics means generally this carrier signal will have three characteristics, that is amplitude, frequency and phase. So depending upon this characteristics, these three parameters or characteristics of the carrier wave is varied in accordance with the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. Why I am insisting this instantaneous is because at each and every instant the amplitude is going to change of the modulating signal. At this position it will be 0, at this that may be raised, at this position that may be raised. Again this amplitude goes on changing, that's why I am insisting that the carrier signal parameter is varied the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. That is regarding this one. After that come to the channel. Channel is nothing but here the medium between transmitter and receiver, and also it provide the physical or wireless connection between the transmitter and receiver, and also this will introduce this noise and distortion in the channel. Mainly where you are going to occur this noise, transmitter it may have small noise and receiver they may have noise because of the equipment that itself that will create some noise. Whereas main noise is going to be obtained through the channel. So that noise generally that is going to be introduced, due to that noise only the noise is going to be interfered into the transmitted signal, so the receiver signal properly that will not be received at the receiver. So that channel will have that produces the noise and distortion. Noise is concerned noise is an unwanted signal. We know that the noise is an unwanted signal which interferes the information. Means the proper signal, the original signal that cannot be able to reconstruct at the receiver. Whereas the distortion is concerned, the distortion that will changes the original shape of the signal due to this internal equipment. So these two will be produced at the channel. And after that, from the channel, that will be given to the receiver. So that a receiver is going to produce the distorted demodulation version. Means the received signal after this channel, generally what you have transmitted at the transmitting side, that message or signal that is going to be received, and that signal will be distorted one, and also noise is also introduced on that one. And after that you may have the output transducer, because this electrical form signal will be connected into the original form. So that transducer is going to be used at that one. So that is regarding this block diagram of this communication system. Now there's various types of communication systems generally that are going to exist. Mainly that maybe communication systems will be divided into three categories. One is the analog communication, second one is hybrid communication, and third one is digital communication. So again, that analog communication has to be subdivided into two categories, that is CW modulation or continuous wave modulation and the pulse modulation. Again, the continuous wave modulation will be divided into amplitude modulation, and second one is angle modulation. The angle modulation is nothing but phase modulation and frequency modulation. This is regarding this analog communication. And next one is a hybrid combination. This hybrid communication is nothing but the combination of these both analog and digital communication. And also in this analog communication, another form is pulse modulation. Pulse modulation in analog form, that may be divided into pulse amplitude modulation, pulse width modulation, and pulse position modulation. Regarding the digital pulse modulation, digital one is concerned pulse code modulation, delta modulation, and differential pulse code modulation, and adaptive delta modulation. There are different types of analog and digital one. And digital communications are concerned, that is another subject. This comes under only this analog communication. Digital communication is separate subject. In this also that may be divided into 8 categories, that is amplitude shift keying, phase shift keying, and frequency shift keying, differential phase shift keying, quadrature phase shift keying, MRA ASK, MRA PSK, and MRA FSK. This is various types of communication, and a communication basically that may be divided into 2 categories depending upon the medium or channel. So that will be basically divided into 2 categories. One is line communication, another one is radio communication. Line communication means in between the transmitter and receiver you may have the pair of conductors or lines. Whereas radio communication, it is a high frequency one, so open wire or free space. The communication channel is free space or open Whereas the communication channel in line communication is a pair of conductors they are going to use. Okay. And also just now I explained in the previous one regarding the modulation, we will explain in detail why this modulation is required in the next topic. Not now, in the next topic. And the limitations, some limitations are there in communication system. There are majorly 3 limitations are there. One is noise limitation, second one is bandwidth limitation, third one is equipment limitation. Noise limitation means generally we know that noise is an unwanted signal which disturb or interfere with the signal. So original signal it is not possible to reconstruct it. It is an unwanted signal. And also that noise may be created in several ways. That is, one is the external noise and second one is internal noise. External noise means extraterrestrial, atmospheric noise, etc., etc. Whereas the internal noise is concerned, the equipment will introduce the noise in the equipment or the devices which are going to use in the communication system. And also bandwidth emulation, because we have to send more information, more data means we require more bandwidth. And also the bandwidth of the channel must be high compared with the transmission signal message, so that it is possible to transmit the bandwidth. The bandwidth is nothing but the space required to send the information between the transmitter and receiver. That bandwidth is required, means how much bandwidth. Suppose if you consider a door, that will be considered as an bandwidth. If it is a big door, so many persons will able to pass. If it is a small door, it is less number of people is able to pass through that one. And equipment is in this communication system. Generally in the equipment you may have different types of transmitters, receivers and channel, and complexity is more and more. That's why that is also one of the limitations the equipment is concerned in that one. Actually, to design a good communication system, the very important parameters required to design that communication system is, there are accuracy must be high and bandwidth is high, cost will be low. You have to consider all these factors, not only the noise or interference or distortion or the complexity, speed of transmission. You have to consider all these things while design any communication system. Accuracy must be high, bandwidth must be high, cost will be low and complexity will be low, and speed of transmission high and the noise will be less. Mainly, being a communication engineers, we have to transmit the information with the maximum speed and with less bandwidth and high accuracy, and that cost must be low. That is basic requirement for the design and communication system. Just now I told that regarding this modulation, say this is written in the modulation definition. It is a process in which some characteristics, amplitude, frequency or phase of the carrier signal, that is a high frequency signal, is varied in accordance with the instantaneous value of the modulating or the message signal. Means in order to have an idea, this is very, very important. The another way of defining this modulation is, it is nothing but superimposition of high frequency wave with low frequency sine wave. It is more important while the next topic is concerned, and also we will discuss the need for modulation, why you have to need this modulation. We will discuss in the next class or next topic. Thank you.